Hello class, adding on to the linear regression, we have a unique situation here that I would just say your initial stages of linear regression you will not encounter that often, but it's still important for you all to know. Now we look here, it says fill in the approximate values for A of x and W of x from the graph. Now of course you know I am not going to fill in the actual numbers from the graph of this project. I'm just showing you this for informational purposes. So we know this would be, the year would be L1, A of x would be L2, and W of x would be L3. See, in the previous video, we just did L1 and L2. We didn't do a L3. So now we have to deal with when you have a situation of having an L3. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to do four values here. So let's say I make this 5, 6, this is 7, this is 8, this is 9, this is 10, this is 11, and this is 12. Okay, so I made up these values here. So what we want to do, we want to type this into the calculator. We want to find the linear regression. So we'll go to Stat, we'll press Enter. We got to clear out L1 and L2. So the procedure is basically the same as what we covered before. Now we're going to enter in the values for L1, which is your year. So we have 0, enter, 1, enter, 2, enter, and 3, enter. Okay, now we will go to L2. We will have 5, 7, 9, and 11. Now we will go to L3. We will have 6, 8, 10, and also 12. Okay, now, the reason why we have L1, L2, and L3 is because on the next page, they're asking you for an equation for A of x and W of x. They're asking you for a linear regression on the next page for both. So that's why we needed the L3, because we have to account for both of these. So we still would start this off the same as we did before. We hit Stat, calculate the number 4, and then we will press Enter until we get an answer. Now this right here, this answer here would take care of A of x because we only dealt with L1 and L2. Matter of fact, let me re-show that because I went a little too fast. We'll press 4. If you notice, the X list is L1, the Y list is L2. So right now we're just finding L1 and L2. And we'll press Enter until we're able to calculate. So for A of x, I'm just going to write that here. A of x would be 2x plus 5. That would take care of A of x. Okay, now we want to do W of x, which deals with the L3. Now the one thing that's not going to change is this L1. The L1 is still going to be your x. So you did L1 and L2, now you're going to have to do L1 and L3. So we go back to Stat. We go to Calculate. We will press the number 4. Now L1 for the X list will be the same. Now L2 we need to change to L3. Now if you look here at the number 3, you see this little L3 above the number 3? Now it's in blue on my calculator. Your calculator may have it in a different color. But if you notice, the color is going to be the same as your second function key. So you have to press second, then the number 3. And that will give you L3. Now we will press Enter until we calculate the answer. So this will give us W of x. So if I was writing this out, this would be W of x is equal to, it would be 2x plus 6. Now one thing I want to tell you is, because I made up these values, your A or your slope values are not necessarily going to be the same when you do these problems. Remember, I made these values up and did not take it from an actual graph. So this is how you find out your linear regression when you have an L1, L2, and an L3. Are there any questions? All right.